The Church of Jesus Christ is a family, a spiritual community, not a human organization. So this is the first part of a three-part series on the Church of Jesus Christ. The church has always been a family. So right from the beginning, God's model for populating the earth has been the family. God created humans in his own image. Male and female he created them. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth." And then in Genesis 2, God shows us how it happens. A man will leave his father and mother and unite with his wife, and they will become a new family. And there are two core principles underlying this family model. The first is for parents to be a living example of God's divine law. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might, and love your neighbor as yourself. And as Jesus explained, these are the two greatest commandments in the entire Hebrew Scriptures. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. And the second principle is for parents to teach their children by demonstration. Diligently teach your children to obey God's laws. Talk about them in the morning when you wake up, and as you go about your day, and before you go to bed at night. All of this is in the context of a loving family. And then we come to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When God called Abraham, he made a promise. "I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, so that you can be a blessing. And through you, all the families of the earth will be blessed." And this has always been God's intention for his people, that his people be a blessing to the families of the earth. And we find family at the center of the nation of Israel. Family, clan, and tribe. So when Israel were camped at Mount Sinai, God commanded Moses to take a census of the entire Israelite community by their clans and families. And then as they wandered through the wilderness, they camped around the tabernacle by their tribes, 3 tribes to the north, 3 to the east, 3 to the south, and 3 to the west. All the children of Israel must camp under their standard with the emblems of their families. And when they conquered Canaan, the land was allocated by tribe and clan. You will inherit the land by lot, according to your clans. To a large tribe, a large portion, and to a small tribe, a small portion. And when God was king and Israel a theocracy, this was the order in God's kingdom. The tribal elders were the leaders of their clans and families. The Levites were the administrators of God's law, serving in the temple and teaching the Israelites to obey God's law. The prophets were God's representatives, sometimes encouraging and guiding, and other times admonishing and warning. And the judges were God's deliverers. So whenever Israel went astray and their enemies oppressed them, when the Israelites repented, God would raise up a judge who would deliver them from their enemies and restore peace to the land. But Israel's big mistake is they rejected God as king. We find this in 1 Samuel chapter 8. Samuel had tried to appoint his sons as judges over Israel, but the tribal elders rejected his sons. But they made the mistake of demanding that Samuel appoint for them a king to judge us, like the other nations. So when Samuel complained to God about this demand of the Israelite elders, God said to him, "Samuel, they're not rejecting you. They're rejecting me as king over them." And then God said, "Give them what they demand. Appoint for them a king, but warn them of the ways of the king, that will reign over them. And it wasn't going to be plain sailing. So here's a list of the good and bad kings of Judah, the southern kingdom. All of the kings of the northern kingdom, Israel, the 10 tribes, they did evil in the sight of the Lord. So we have 5 good, really good kings: David, Jehoshaphat, Joash, Hezekiah, and Josiah. Then we have a bunch of really terrible kings, particularly Jehoram and Manasseh. And those last kings all did evil in the sight of the Lord. And it was these evil kings who caused Israel to go into exile. The northern kingdom was conquered in 722 BC by the Assyrians. And then in 586 BC, the Babylonians wiped out Jerusalem. They broke down its wall and they demolished the temple. And they sent the Israelites into exile. And for the next 600 years, the land of Israel would be under foreign occupation. First the Babylonians, who were then conquered by the Persian Empire, and they in turn were conquered by the Macedonian Empire under Alexander the Great. His empire broke into 4 pieces, and Israel was occupied by either the Seleucids in Syria or the Ptolemies in Egypt. And then finally, the Roman Empire occupied Israel from 63 BC. And so by the time of Jesus' birth, there was this huge messianic hope. 600 years of occupation, of foreign occupation. And they really believed that something was about to happen, that God was going to restore his kingdom. He was going to throw out the Romans and restore the kingdom of Israel. And into this messianic hope, Jesus Christ arrived. In part 2 of the Church of Jesus Christ is a family. We're going to look at Jesus and the New Testament, and our theme is going to be new wineskins for new wine.